Hey everyone, it's me, Patrick. This video is a little different, so let me explain. On this channel's Patreon page, we have a series of goals intended to celebrate various milestones. Special videos we'll make that fall outside of the regular video essay format. One of those goals was that upon hitting 750 patrons, I would take my parents to see Avengers Endgame and make a video about the experience. Important to note, in the past decade, my parents have seen maybe 2 Marvel movies. We hit that goal last month, but since the movie is no longer in theaters, I took them to see it back in June and made the video then. So here it is. Enjoy, and thank you so much to everyone who helped make this happen. Hello everyone. It's me, Patrick. These are my parents, who you're obviously very familiar with. So guys, this is the first time that you'll be on camera in a video without me writing your lines for you.
Okay.
How are you? You're feeling okay?
I hope I'll be okay, yeah.
I'm laughing. It's funny to be sitting beside you and not across the table.
You got the horizontal stripes going, yeah.
I mean, gotta stay on brand. So obviously, as you can tell from the title of this video, the whole purpose of why we're here is I like my parents a lot. I'm a big fan of their work, and a big fan of the way that they raised me, and I thought it would be really funny to take you guys to see Avengers Endgame, which is the biggest film of 2019. It is now the second highest grossing film in film history. What do you guys know about this movie?
Oh my goodness, I was dreading these questions because I really know that they're about superheroes who come together to fight the bad guys. And that's all.
Oh, I mean, you're not wrong. Dad, do you know any more?
Well, I mean, as a youth, I knew the Avengers. I think at one point I understood how the origin of the Avengers. But I think probably the way the modern world works, there's probably like 10 extra Avengers now from when I knew them. And I probably forget some of the characters, but I would say the core characters I should be familiar with from, you know, what I was reading when I was 12 years old.
Okay, so who's on the team?
Captain America.
Yeah.
How about Wonder Woman?
No.
Oh.
That's a DC comic.
Oh, see, I knew I'd make that mistake. I knew it.
Foreigners.
Yeah, I have no clue. I have no idea.
Yes, Wonder Woman is, she does have her own movie. She's a member of the Justice League, and that is owned by a different company.
How about Superman?
Also DC.
Oh.
Yep, not
I
there.
better be quiet, I think.
You want to go for Batman, or are you just going to cut your loss? So look, okay, I'm on now. Well, I mean, I believe Iron Man was one of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And I think now one of my favorite comic characters from when I was a kid was Doctor Strange, and I believe he may be one of the Avengers. Is he?
He could be. He has his own movie.
Well, no, but I mean, is he in the Avengers or not?
He was in the last Avengers movie.
Okay.
So he's an Avenger, or has been an Avenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and
have they had lots of Avenger movies?
So this is the 22nd Marvel movie, like within the same sort of universe.
Okay.
As in, because the first one in 2008 was Iron Man, and you know Robert Downey Jr. plays Iron Man.
That's right, I do.
Tony Stark.
Will he be in it again?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
He's like the lead of this one.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of it, and there have been 22 movies. They're all sort of connected. And this is the 4th Avengers movie. And so the Avengers ones tends to be the ones that, like, everyone's in.
Is there only one girl, then?
No, there's a lot of female characters in the movie.
Oh, I don't know. Do you know any others?
I'm drawing a blank. Right now I'm up to 3 members of the
Black
Avengers.
Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson, is, like, the main one.
See, she came in as my comic reading period waned.
Yeah.
And then I started
Black Widow, I mean, nah. Not
I
back
started
from
to get
the-
the incredible...
Black Widow was nowhere in the 60s.
Yeah, she was.
Oh. No,
You just didn't know.
is the Hulk
He
an
wasn't
Avenger?
there.
Yeah, the Hulk's an Avenger.
Darn.
Mark Ruffalo plays him.
The Hulk!
Well, because remember,
Wow.
you guys saw Thor Ragnarok.
Thor!
The
Is
one.
Thor in it?
Thor's one of the main Avengers.
Yeah, God of Asgard.
Yeah,
I know
you
all
guys,
the
that's
Norse.
like that's one of the only movies you guys have seen.
Coming down on the Rainbow Bridge.
Yes.
I used to love all those
Hendrix had
Norse
that album live in Hawaii, Rainbow Bridge.
Rainbow Bridge.
And you guys saw that movie.
We did.
Remember?
We did
It's the
remember.
one. Kate Blanchett was Thor's sister, and
I
she
remember.
destroyed Mjolnir the hammer.
She
And then
did.
Asgard was destroyed at the end, and the Hulk was there.
That's right. Okay.
You may have like 10 years ago seen the first Iron Man. It was a
Oh, I
pretty.
did. I remember. It was very good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
And
Yeah.
and so, but like you've never seen a movie with Captain America.
I'm
And
really not too big. The only thing I never liked, in retrospect, about Iron Man is that, in his origin story, he was a defense contractor. He was designing weapons. And I'm not really down with that, but he's a good guy.
But that's like the whole point of it, is that he was this like immoral, like a war profiteer who then realized
Correct.
that he'd been, like what his work was being used for, and then changed his ways and
Devoted his life to the good of mankind. I get it.
exactly.
What's the point of the movie?
Oh.
Yeah, well, that's in the first Iron Man movie. There's the part where he comes back after being taken prisoner and decides they're going to stop manufacturing weapons.
There you go.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, of course, because you told me there's more girls, I start to get them mixed up with the Incredibles. So I started thinking, is there an Elastic Girl?
No, there is not Elastigirl, and you also haven't seen the Guardians of the
She's
Galaxy
in the
movies,
X-Men. No, she's
No,
not.
she's in the Incredibles.
and they're not Marvel at all.
All right. Well, we better get moving.
We
if we're gonna
better
go see this
we better
movie.
get moving.
Because we have
Do you
to
know?
travel all the way to Albany. to see this.
And so this is all you know about this one. So I assume you don't know who Thanos is.
Never heard
No.
of him.
You don't know what an Infinity Gauntlet is.
No.
No.
Okay. Okay. You probably don't know who Ant-Man is.
Oh, I know Ant-Man, yeah.
Just from you making the Ant-Man.
Yeah, I remember
trailer.
Ant-Man as a comic character.
So
was
I
reading
remember.
comics.
Yeah. Okay.
He has some serious history.
But you know what? It's 3. We should
better
probably get going.
Man, Albany is perking, man. Let's hit the road.
Okay, and we will be back.
Yeah, but let me just say this.
Oh, no.
In what was the one with Al Pacino? He's the blind ex-military guy, Scent of a Woman. And there's one point where, his daughter and her husband have to go to Albany, and
Yes.
he says, "Where are you going?" And they say, "We're going to Albany." He goes, "Albany." And that so captures Albany, having spent better part of 25 years working in and around it. Albany.
Let's go.
Let's go to Albany.
Yes. I hate walls. I really hate walls.
Well, thank you for making this sacrifice for our art.
Things I do for you.
So guys, you doing okay after the 3 hours?
I'm a little bleary, but yeah, it's good.
My knees are a bit stiff after sitting for 3 hours, but otherwise I'm fine.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hey,
Cheers.
I'm here too. We did it.
Yes.
I'm so happy that this all worked. And you guys agreed to my insane plan of going to see this movie. So thank you.
We enjoyed it.
I did pay for your tickets. And I was so
thank you for paying for a ticket.
I was so happy and semi-surprised that you enjoyed it. I was all prepared for you guys to be like, that was 3 hours long. I had no idea what was going on. That was all nonsense to me.
no,
But so immediate thoughts, just like initial reactions. I'm very curious.
Well, I have to say that, as I've said way too many times, that I have an objection to the summer blockbuster in that it's this enormous expenditure of money and resources to have giant exploding things and booms and $500 million is invested that could go to other things like bridges or whatever, food for the poor. But having said that, the thing was extremely well done and entertaining. And even though, of course, since I haven't followed the Marvel universe and the whole thing in detail, there were like about 58 characters who I'd never seen before and recognized about
And even
10.
more that I didn't know.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was good, and there was. I'm sorry to talk over everyone, but I was given a green light, so I just figured I'd
Yes.
get it out of the way.
Go.
There were certain subtexts that carried through, whether you really knew who everyone was or not previously, and there were certain humorous elements that were very effective, even if you didn't know who the guy was. It was still good, and they were all subtle. It was very good, and it was quirky too.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that, Mom. Your reaction,
it
because
was
again, you knew less than Dad.
I
Dad
did.
at least had like for instance, Dad could tell you that Tony Stark was Iron Man. I'm not sure.
I did know that.
Oh,
That one I knew.
I'm so sorry.
I
Okay,
knew,
Dad knew that
because
Steve.
I liked Robert Downey Jr., so I'd watched Iron
Exactly.
Man.
We saw Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in theaters together,
No.
and that was the beginning of his comeback.
That's right. And I
Yeah.
watched it several times after that.
I mean, we like that movie a lot.
We did.
But
We did.
okay, let me put it this way. Dad knew that Stephen Strange was Doctor Strange and that he's the Sorcerer Supreme. You probably didn't know that.
But I had you sitting beside me, and the cinema was quiet enough that I was able to say, "Who's that? Who's she?" I
That
have no idea what that meant.
That was just Doctor Strange doing this thing.
what
Was that
about
Benedict?
Benedict Cumberbatch
Cumberbatch.
is Doctor Strange?
Yeah, the guy with the...
I mean, remember you did
didn't
see
remember
you
that.
saw Thor Ragnarok and he's in that.
Thor was hilarious.
The cat.
The character of Thor, was just very funny in this. Yeah.
And I thought they didn't overdo it because
Big
if you...
belly.
You're right, they could have had him burping all the
He's
time and that would have been
dreadlocked.
like gratuitously funny and probably a little cheap. And they didn't
Right.
they didn't go there. It was good.
My curiosity was, who is Thanos? I've never heard of Thanos before.
I don't even know who you are.
And I thought his sword was ridiculous looking.
Yeah, that was...
It looked like a surfboard with a blade, maybe?
No, it was, remember those Transformer things? It looked like something one of those plastic Transformers would have.
And why the heck he didn't lose it?
It would be
and all
like
that,
it would be
like-
a helicopter rotor and then it would turn into some guy like going...
I think you two are like the greatest film critics of all time. I don't know why you don't run this channel.
Well, I got a lot on my plate, baby.
I thought his sword was...
Nobody knows,
Oh my
that
God.
deal.
It's so I
I
will.
sang that already earlier. You
Yeah.
can't do it again.
It's funny. The sword is not like an important thing.
It's a stupid looking sword.
I mean, I don't think he had that in the previous movie. It's not the sword doesn't mean anything. It's not like it's because like Thor's hammer is like a thing that he's known
Oh.
for.
Yeah, but his axe, Thor's axe is it looks like he got it at
Thor's
Kmart.
axe?
Well,
You mean Thanos' axe?
No, Thor also has an axe because he's got two weapons. He's got the hammer, and which
right.
we never. Well, we
want to
in
know
previous-
why did it come back to Captain America?
Right.
I can explain that.
I
Because
bet you
in
could.
my Norse myths, which I know very well, it always came back to Thor.
Because
They
only
didn't have Captain America in Norse myths.
They didn't.
Jesus,
They
no.
Well, because you have to be worthy to lift Thor's hammer.
Oh, so
and he wasn't
the cap
worthy.
proved
That-
himself
He's not worthy. Wayne's World! Wayne's World!
Party time, excellent.
Oh my God. I can explain that. So there was a scene in the second Avengers movie when they're all kind of at a party and they're all playing a game where they're trying to lift Thor's hammer, but no one can because it's inscribed that only he who is worthy may wield the power of Thor. And there's a part where Captain America is like trying to lift it, and it's like it almost like flinches, and you think like maybe he can. And so this was kind of a payoff to that, where it turns out Captain America is the only other person who is worthy
I gotcha.
of wielding the hammer.
Okay.
So anyway, you wonder who Thanos is?
Yes.
So it's funny, he's this villain who I think was created in the 70s in Marvel, so after your time. And he's this guy from the planet Titan, who is basically, in the comics it was a little bit different. He looks the same, but he was obsessed with getting the Infinity Stones to achieve this godlike power. And in the comics, it's weird because he's like in love with this woman who's the like living embodiment of death. But he's still
look like?
She's like in a black cloak and never speaks.
Okay.
But then in these movies, he's obsessed with trying to like bring balance to the universe. And he thinks there's like there's like an overpopulation, and so there isn't equal like resources. So he believes stupidly that by reducing the population of the universe by half, he will create this perfect balance and like a perfectly functioning universe.
And then, as he admits, he realized that was a failure.
Yeah,
What's with all the lines on his chin?
He's an alien. He's just a purple guy from another planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I most enjoyed was every so often. Well, there was two things. Whenever an actor who you didn't realize was in the movie would show up, you'd be like, oh, "It's Tilda," or is that the guy from Parks and Recreation?
I did. I couldn't remember his name.
But
Do you remember him?
No, I didn't pick up on that.
He was in the funny scene at the end with Thor, where who's in charge?
Oh yeah, but I
Remember
didn't.
now?
Yeah, right, but
he was
I
the
didn't.
silly guy from Parks and
Yeah,
Recreation.
I know, Andy, but
Andy,
but why?
that's his name.
But I didn't see him as being a superhero. I didn't.
No, he's
Is he the nanny? I mean, what the heck? The nanny for Tony Stark's kid?
Who's in charge?
So there's a lot of Marvel movies. And there's like a lot of sort of like series throughout them, and one of them is called, you've probably heard of it, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, that's what you told me.
And it's about this team, and they're all in space. Mm-hmm. And so Nebula, who is Thanos' daughter, she's from that.
All right.
And Rocket Raccoon, who you thought was a fox.
I said, who's the fox?
Yes,
His face was very Vulpine.
I think
he's
that's
from that as well.
Funny.
So they're this.
Bradley Cooper did the voice.
Bradley Cooper did the voice of Rocket Raccoon.
Bradley Cooper.
And
I know the name.
He starred and directed A Star Is Born.
Remember?
Oh,
And he's a
Lady Gaga.
very famous actor. But yeah, he does the voice of the raccoon.
But he started out in TV too.
He didn't look like one.
What was the
Rocket
show
Raccoon.
we saw him in that he made his name really?
He started out. He was on the show Alias.
That was it, Alias.
Yeah.
I used to love that show.
I did too.
With Jennifer Garner.
Yes, I didn't know you knew that.
Yeah,
But,
the Ballad of Billy the Kid, a Sam Peckinpah Western. Bob Dylan has a cameo role, and they say, "Who are you?" He says, "My name is Alias." That's Dylan's only line. You gotta see it.
I do.
You gotta see it.
I'm not up on all my Peckinpah. But
back to the
so the Guardians of the Galaxy are this team of like outlaws. There are a bunch of them are aliens. The tree guy, you know, the guy who's like a tree.
Oh, I loved him.
Who shows up at the end?
The plant guy. I thought he was a
The
girl.
plant guy. No, so that his name.
He called himself. He says, "Mine, I'm
So his name is Groot.
Groot."
But the only thing he can say is, "I am Groot."
I am
and so he just says it in different inflections, and Rocket, who's his best friend, can translate for him, but all he says is the same three
So he
words.
says, "I am Groot," but Rocket tells you if it means something.
Right, so it's kind of like Chewbacca and Han Solo, where Chewie will just like make a sound and Han will be like, "Yeah, I know."
You
Or
would
like-
make a role like that
or
for
like
me.
Mary-
I could hammer that.
To finish explaining this, in Guardians of the Galaxy, Chris Pratt, who is from Parks and Recreation, he's
yes.
the funny guy.
Yeah.
He's the lead. He's the main character in those movies.
Okay.
So the part where they go back and he's like listening to, he has headphones on and he's dancing, that's the beginning of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, okay.
That's how it begins. And then they all end up in prison together, and they're just a bunch of like, you know, like asshole outlaws, and they all kind of like end up joining together and they save the galaxy. Those, in my opinion, are the best Marvel movies. They're really weird and really good.
Are they available on Netflix?
Probably. But
No
anyway,
Gorgeous Garden of
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and then Volume 2.
Okay.
And
I'd watch it.
in the second one, Kurt Russell is Chris Pratt's father.
Oh.
They're really good. Anyway, that's who he is.
These blockbusters might be good since we now got a subwoofer.
During the whole final battle where everyone keeps showing up, then that was every shot you'd say, who's she? Who's he? Who's that? And then we had the funniest thing when Captain Marvel shows up at the beginning. She's the woman who glows a lot, who finds Tony Stark in space and brings their ship back.
She's Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
I didn't tell
I
you.
thought Captain Marvel from my era was a dude.
Captain Marvel shows up. She had her own movie back in March. It made $1 billion. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
No.
It was. It is
a shit.
I think I might have heard
It's
it
just
advertised.
because it was so enormous. I just assume it's people hear about it.
I may have heard it. Not sure.
But that was the last Marvel movie before this one. Anyway, that's her. But it was funny when she showed up. You were like, "Who's the girl?" And I was like, "That's Captain Marvel." And you were like, "Who? Captain Marvel? Who's that?" And I think you would have heard of Captain Marvel, but you didn't know Captain Marvel was a woman, and so you were just surprised about that.
Exactly.
And then when she returns at the end, you were like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Mom, that's Captain Marvel." I told you that earlier in the movie.
She cut her hair.
She did get a haircut.
I recognized her for a second.
Give her a pass on that.
I asked you before I realized. Oh, yeah,
Obviously,
I
I'm from Long Island, so I knew.
Exactly. So any other question? Did you guys have an easy enough time figuring things out? Because this movie pretty much assumes that you know what everyone is.
The character that I had questions about was the very first superhero we saw whose family disappeared.
Hawkeye.
I've never heard of him.
Jeremy Renner's character.
And what's...
Right. He is one of my favorite actors in the film.
Yes, and tell me his name again.
Jeremy Renner.
And what do I know him from in previous?
The Hurt Locker.
Yeah, he was the lead in The Hurt Locker.
That's right. Yeah. So I was confused about his character.
Yeah, well, he's the.
There were a few things that were said. I was like, what? What's his name?
He's one of he's one of the early members of the Avengers. So when the Avengers were created in the 60s in the comics, he wasn't one of the initial lineup, but he joined in issue 10. So still pretty early on. Stan Lee was still writing it, Jack Kirby was still drawing it when he showed up. But basically his thing is he has a bow and arrow. That's his whole thing. He has no superpowers. He just has a bow and arrow.
All right.
So he's kind of the normal guy on the team.
Okay.
And
hence he was teaching his daughter.
Yeah. Okay. And so that's why him and Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson's characters, are friends.
Oh, and that was sad that she died.
It is.
They were all very sad.
She is getting her own movie, but it's set in the past. It's filming right now.
What's her character called again?
Black Widow. And she was originally a Russian secret agent who ended up defecting and becoming joining up over here.
All right.
That's
right. And her superpower is she's really a sharp criminal, right?
But in general, it seemed like you guys managed to piece together what the story was.
We did, and it was very entertaining.
So you managed to figure out that, half the people disappeared and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so anything that confused you?
Well, other than what we've just discussed, I think.
No, just the sheer number of unknown characters flying at you from everywhere and not even knowing who the villain was. What his background was.
Right. Also, he gets killed really early on, 10 minutes into the movie.
The villain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanos?
Yeah, they chop his head off.
Thor killed him.
Yeah, but then he's back again better than ever. I mean, that might be a WTF moment, good point. I would say that
What's
might be a weak point,
What the fuck?
I mean?
Oh.
I don't know which one of you to be more annoyed with.
I prefer the words, not the abbreviation.
Well, I'm trying to. We're on film, I'm trying to.
But
do
Patrick,
good.
really, I would say, my dear, it was very entertaining. Now, had we not had this plan to go to see the movie and you brought us to the movie and thank you for paying for us,
Have you done?
I wouldn't have gone on my own.
Well,
it wouldn't be the type of movie that I would say, oh, let's go and see the
You're
Avengers.
not buying the DVD, I take it.
Not gonna
I
buy
will
the
say-
DVD.
about maybe a month or so ago, you were thinking of just like seeing them
Very
going to the
true.
movies, and you said, we heard the new Avengers is very good. And that's when I was like, Mom, no, you can't go without me.
True.
We have to do this
You're
together.
Right.
Thank
That's
God.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
And I did, and I think it was at the time when I was just thinking, oh, maybe it might be nice to go to the movies.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the movies for a long time, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, lightning round. A favorite character. There were so many characters.
Well, I'm always in favour of that Parks and Rec guy. He always makes me laugh. Whatever the heck his name is again, I forgot.
Chris Pratt.
Chris. There were a lot of Chris's in there. Oh, but Ant-Man. I mean, you gotta love Ant-Man.
All right. My turn. Tony Stark's daughter, 1.
Oh.
Ant-Man, 2.
Yeah,
Oh, his daughter was great.
she's great.
She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this her first movie?
Yeah, well, because they did the 5-year jump. And so she was born, remember at the beginning they said
Oh,
like,
yes.
after they kill Thanos, then it says 5 years later. So she was born in the 5 years. So she had not been around before at all.
Yeah, no, I meant like...
I would say number 3 though. I
was she in any
thought
other
Robert
movies?
Downey was like he just crushed it.
Yeah.
There were other great
Yeah.
performances, but I think Downey crushed it.
Yeah.
He did.
He
yeah.
was good. He was good. He nailed it.
I mean, this has become like the defining role of his career. It was like, because he was still kind of, you know, when he was cast in the first movie, he was like an unexpected choice.
Yeah.
He still wasn't like he was like still kind of on the comeback, and now he's like the biggest movie star in the world. And so I thought he went on a strong note.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was good. He was
Yeah.
very good. Yeah, I agree with Hank on those characters.
It made that transition from cynical to like sacrifice everything for the good of humanity, which is some might consider trite, but then again, maybe that was the major dramatic arc of the entire film. I don't know.
Yeah, no, honestly, that's been the major dramatic arc of his character through all the movies. Remember, he began as a war profiteer,
Yeah.
and then you know, he began as selfish, and then became more selfless. And so what I thought was smart in this movie was by giving him this family and then having him like, you know, not lose everyone the way other people did, it made him not want to do it. And so he had to kind of overcome that and then end up sacrificing himself.
Yeah, but he also does it out of his own hubris, is that I'm smarter than everybody, I have to prove it.
Well, yeah.
Which is an essential part of the character.
Of
Yes,
course.
Of course.
And so a good favorite characters. Do you have any favorite parts or moments in it?
I would say that the initial Hawkeye scene, you know, they're doing the archery, they're playing baseball, throwing the ball around, and then he turns around there, he doesn't see them, and then all of a sudden the camera is, you know, the line of sight is bouncing and it's uneven. And it was very early in the film. It was the beginning of the film.
First scene.
First scene.
And I thought that was very effective because, you know, you're getting vertigo watching it, and you have no idea, especially if you've never seen the whole series of films.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you're going, what is going on?
Yeah.
And
I
I
agree.
thought that really was a good intro, and it drew me in, not really knowing. I didn't even remember who Hawkeye was.
Yeah.
So that was kind of good. I thought that was good.
And we can't forget Hulk. He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. He was funny and good. Yeah.
Yeah. Hulk's great.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah. The reason I was so curious to show you guys this movie is because, you know, this movie, it's such a big like pop culture event, but it's also like I can't recall a movie in a series like in my lifetime that has relied so much on on assuming that the audience has seen prior films. So
Yes.
just like that is just like expecting you to come in with at least like a certain level of knowledge and familiarity that gives like so little that does so little work to sort of like explain who things are. It kind of gets into it right away. And so I really wondered how this movie functioned if this movie functioned at all as a movie itself, or it was just a piece of a whole.
Yeah.
And so you guys, who you've seen like a Thor movie and then maybe the original Iron Man a decade ago, and that was it. And so I was so curious how this would play for you guys, and it works.
Oh, it does.
It did.
does.
I got to give it to you. It did. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, and especially at that point where Ant-Man goes, "Hey, we did it," and then all hell breaks loose. In a sense, you would have said, "Boy, that was kind of brief." But it was quite interesting just to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have the save the entire planet, and near Armageddon, but that's good. I mean, because you're going to see an action movie.
Yeah.
So I would say, yes, it definitely does work as a standalone
It does.
blockbuster
Yeah.
with the subwoofer, like rattling the windows.
Yeah.
I think most of my questions towards the end were at Tony Stark's funeral, where all of these other characters appeared, like Samuel L. Jackson was there,
And Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas.
And so I immediately wanted to say, who's that and who's that? And I probably did.
But Robert Redford didn't get to be there because he was a villain.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was because Robert Redford is in the second Captain America movie. He's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and turns out to be a bad guy.
Yeah,
Right,
well,
because
we
S.H.I.E.L.D.
learned that.
turns out, later on, Nick Fury just turns his back on S.H.I.E.L.D. and just says, what the heck?
You know that from...
Yeah, you gave me the graphic novel for, I think it was Christmas about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that portrayed,
Wait, a very quick explanation for the camera. This is the graphic novel Fury, My War Gone by Garth Ennis and Goran Parlov. And yeah, I read that in single issues, and it was the rare comic where I was like, I think Dad would really like this. It seems to like align with his view of, international politics and American history really closely.
Right, and it covers a broad spectrum, but I think especially relevant to current times is that what's construed or represented as a crisis at the border is basically Central American people coming through Mexico to get political asylum in America. And I think that that the one section of the Nick Fury novel portrays that in grotesque, graphic detail of what went down in Central America that led to the political instability that's causing this migration. And I'm talking about Iran-Contra, I'm talking about Reagan and then George H.W. Bush and Oliver North, and importantly, the pardons of those convicted criminals by George H. Walker Bush because they broke the law, but it was for patriotic purposes. And now we're reaping the evil fruits of that political exercise, and it's being conflated into an issue that's completely different than what's really going on. And that's the rule.
I have to read that. I haven't read it.
I wonder what you think. Yeah, and it is written by a guy from Ireland. And Garth Ennis, a writer from Belfast, who's written a lot of good comics about America and American history. Guys, I'm so glad that we did this. I
am too.
don't have anything
So
else
am
I need
I.
to say, but
No, I think it was great. Thank you, my dear, for inviting us to see
Yes,
the
it
movie.
was lovely. And let me also say thank you to everyone who watches these, be you critics or if you enjoy it. I think it's very interesting to to be in the public eye a tiny bit anyway.
yeah.
It's not saying nothing I sought out, but it's happening, and I can handle criticism. It's cool.
You guys are the best. Here, let's have, it's time to have some dinner.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back. During our conversation, my dad was talking about how since he didn't know the characters, what drew him into the movie was the visual storytelling and camera work. Avengers Endgame might be one of the most expensive movies of all time, but all the money and movie stars and CGI in the world don't mean anything without clear visual storytelling through cinematography. So if you're interested in filmmaking, you can learn all about this in the Skillshare course, Cinematography Basics, Understanding Filmmaking Style by Zach Mulligan. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes. An annual membership is less than $10 per month, but you can get 2 months totally free if you sign up at the link in the description. So after you take this class, you can take a ton more about all the different aspects of filmmaking and film production. So again, sign up at the link in the description for a free 2-month trial of Skillshare and start learning today. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching, welcome back, and I just want you all to know I've been taking it easy this month, since as you probably saw, I was pretty burnt out, but I'm feeling a lot better and we'll be back in a couple weeks with brand new videos once I've fully recharged. So if you want to support the channel and the new stuff we'll be making, check out the Patreon, and please suggest future goals we can put on there now that we've reached this one. We want more fun stuff like this to aim for in the future. Of course, listen to the Infinity Podcast and Can't Get Enough of Keanu. New episodes of each drop every Monday and Tuesday, respectively. Check out our subreddit, r/Thrillems, and I don't know, share memes based on the videos or whatever. And look, I'll see you soon.